welcome to another edition of the Hero Speak podcast. I am your host, Chris, and for this wonderful Batman pod, with me today to talk about Batman, and only Batman, as you can see, all the merch. We're going to start with the Batman of the pod. It's Mike, of course. Mike's the Batman of the pod.
FOH.
Hey guys, just like hip hop artist The Weeknd accidentally tweeted as soon as the Russian invasion of Ukraine started, "Let's go."
Wow. Okay.
It doesn't get any
I went
better.
there
Each
fast.
week it just...
Went there fast. All right.
He tweeted that, right?
The
Right
Wonder
as soon
Woman
as,
of the...
Yeah, so
No, I missed that one.
so he was
Sorry.
talking about his album or something dropping, and he tweeted out, "Let's go, I'm very excited." And this was right at the time Russia started invading Ukraine, so he started getting backlash. Like, dude, you know what's happening, right?
Like, no, I had this thing set to
Yeah.
release like a week and a half ago. I don't know what the bad timing. And our Wonder Woman of the pod, repping the rest of the DC universe for us. It's Brooks. How you doing, Brooks?
I'm doing great. I'm in second place in fantasy basketball, and let me tell you, second place never felt so good.
Oh, like how is our
Is that
week
still a
going? Let me
thing?
see here, because it's you and me this week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you-
here's the best
season.
part. I play Chris this week, and Keith and James play. And I was set, as the last time, to, kill Chris at the beginning of the week. And it's like only Tuesday, and half my team decided to sit. And for no reason, there's literally no reason. And now I'm going to lose.
All right, and lastly, our Bruce Wayne of the pod. It's James.
As
How you
I'm
doing,
getting
James?
wrecked by Keith.
Or it might have that backwards. Mike can be the Bruce
I was
Wayne.
supposed to beat
James, you
Keith
can
this
beat
week,
Batman.
and I tried to reverse jinx it by telling him, "Congrats on your win this week, Keith." It's not working.
Oh,
You can't
Is that
purposely
what
do it.
works, right?
That's the problem.
Fuck, dude. And why is Klay Thompson always sitting out in these games?
Klay Thompson has failed to come back. Like
What a waste of a pick.
he's
Anyway, either you live, wait, what's the phrase go again? Either you die here or live to see somebody else make a better movie than the one you made.
Okay, Schumacher. All right. So as I said, today we are talking all about Batman, specifically about the new The Batman movie. And we'll be doing some other Batman content before that. So if you don't know about Batman, if you don't know who this character is, I want to know how you got to this podcast. I want you to contact me directly by pigeon or however you contact people, and I want to talk to you because really, so how are you here if you don't know who Batman is? All right. So, Brooksy, did you have a chance to set up what you were talking about? Ask the Geeks.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
You had a busy week. We saw that. I saw that.
Yeah,
So
but
I
she can
was
still
like,
do
that's
one off the
great.
top of the dome.
I can. I thought about some when I saw the movie on Sunday.
If you why don't you start with that? Ask some questions, and then we'll do maybe some Batman
Probably
ratings
even better,
and
like
stuff,
spontaneous questions.
and then we'll talk
Plan. There we
about
go.
the Batman. So let's start.
Oh
there.
boy.
Nerds. What is a nerd?
Okay, hold on. I've got to look up some characters. I did have a question. Crap. What is his name?
Bruce Wayne.
No, not Bruce Wayne.
Grayson.
Wait, no. Why are they not showing it in here? Zoe Kravitz's father. Zoe Kravitz's character's father.
Falcone.
Falcone.
They had
Yeah.
Carmine Falcone.
Yes.
Yeah, that was new.
What?
That was new, by
But
the
that's
way.
not always the thing. That's
No,
just
let
for
her
this
ask the
movie.
question.
No, I was
God,
gonna-
we're-
Sorry.
I was going to ask what his backstory is because my boyfriend was telling me that he was in Gotham City or something. That character was in the TV
The
series.
TV
He was
show
also
Gotham.
in the
Yeah.
He was.
Nolan trilogy. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'm.
He's also in
He's a
also in
mafia
several
boss. He's a
animated
gangster.
movies. So yeah, we'll go.
So that's my question. Is like, what's his backstory? He's in other series, movies? Is he in the comics, or is this?
So Gotham City is a city completely ravaged by crime and corrupt officials, and there are two main mafia families. At least in a lot of the media. I have not read a lot of Batman. To be 100% honest, I have not read a lot of Batman comics. I have some. But as far as the movies and the animated movies and stuff, the Falcone and Maroni are the two main crime boss families within Gotham City
Okay.
that are always fighting for control of Gotham.
See, that's good to know because I didn't know that. I mean, I've seen Batman. I just don't retain this stuff the way you guys do. I don't understand how it like sticks in your brain.
Like you
Because it's
retain the
completely
Real
unimportant.
Housewives backstory. Same thing for us.
That's actually a really good point. Thank you. All right, fair.
Absolutely.
And Power, book 1, 2, 3, and 4.
I love Power.
No, it's hard. There are a lot of characters in the Batman world.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's not even
Mythos.
counting.
And it's been redone and rebooted.
Yeah, and I
the
mean,
New 52.
we're just talking about Batman, not even like all of DC. There's so many, right? So it's hard to keep track. But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, but they don't have any specific, like, Batman has a specific backstory that you kind of keep track of. The mafia families, they can mold and move around with that as they feel like. I just watched an animated movie where it was one of them. I think it was Falcone. His kids, he had kids and a wife and the whole thing, and it was about who's taking over the family after
Sophia
somebody dies.
Falcone and
Yeah.
I remember that
So
one.
so it's
Falcone,
like it's not specifically.
Falcone was a big one in
important.
the Long Halloween animated that we just saw. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. The Long Halloween. I just
So
watched
to answer
that.
your original question, we've digressed. Falcone started in 1987 by Frank Miller in the comics.
You just
And-
looked that up.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't remember that. Yeah,
Because we're not really
Right.
answering your question. We're just giving you.
No,
a
but you
bunch of,
are
like,
because this is
hyperbole.
good backstory. Because I know that like Gotham is crime ridden, but I didn't realize there were like main families, and that this, you know what I mean? They had like kind of backstories about each family, and that those families were in other like shows and comics and stuff.
Yeah, the character is actually based on Marlon Brando's portrayal of Don Corleone from the Godfather series.
oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why he looks kind of weird. Like John Turturro plays him in this, so it's like he visually looks different than he normally looks like, which is a big, very generic fat Italian man.
See, it's
kind of
weird
thing.
that in Batman '89 they used Jack Palance was Grissom, but they didn't use Falcone or Maroni. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they created a lot of different. Like the next movie after that, they created what's his name, Maxwell
Shrek, yeah.
What his name was. They created a lot of
Shrek.
different characters for the first two movies.
But Burton did not read.
That's true. That's
didn't
true.
bother to read any of the
That's
comics.
true. Yeah.
He just made his own thing. Burton was not like he didn't care about
Yeah,
comic
and
book
then-
accuracy.
And he was
And
He was
Schumacher
like-
had never heard of Batman
and he was
before
listen.
signing a contract to direct the movie.
and he didn't. And he was not as successful. But all right, Brooks, you got another one for
Yeah.
us? That was a good one.
I
That
do.
was good,
So
yeah.
in this Batman, they say that he's like 2 years into him being Batman, right? Why was there, aside from like his parents getting killed,
Parents
was there
got
an
killed?
event that? And
Spoiler
also, spoiler alert. Also, why is every superhero's mother named Martha? Is that a prerequisite? Does it
There's
have
only
to be
two-
Martha?
There's only two of them.
Why did you say that name?
No, there's another
you say
one
Yeah,
too.
There's only
There's
Superman and
Superman,
and
Batman.
Who else?
No, I swear there was another one because we were like, oh yeah, they're Martha too. It was somebody else.
I'm gonna have to look that up. Hang on.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
What's
So
what's not Wally?
okay, we got sidetracked. What was the
So,
question
the
initially?
question is-
Barry Allen's mom's name. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Why So what sparked it? Well, like what? All of a sudden, he's like, I'm gonna dress in this fucking bat suit and like go fight crime. Like, why did he
Okay,
think
so it
doing
depends how far back we want to go because there are different
More.
interpretations. But basically, the original is that he was basically a rich guy sitting, brooding, mad at the world, and he wanted a way to strike fear into the hearts of criminals. And a bat flies through a window, and he's scared, and he goes, "Oh my God, I was scared, so I'm gonna dress as a bat, and that'll scare criminals, and I'll go and be Batman."
This is a 1940 version, by the way. 1940.
Yeah. It's the real basic original one. If you go to the different movies, they have slightly different interpretations, but it's always his parents die. He's a kid. He's a rich kid. He's mad at the world. He then decides he's gonna fight crime, and he like the Bale version. He falls into a well, and that well has bats, and that scares him as a kid, and then he takes that idea and runs with it that way.
And in the Zack Snyder version, he falls into a well and the bats lift him up from the heavens and he becomes Batman. Ridiculous.
Right, because being a bat isn't already ridiculous.
Wait, was that a dream sequence?
He says in the
Or was
dream,
he...
I saw the light and the light was alive. But then everything around you was actually realistic. So it's like, his parents...
Yeah, that was a tough one because the whole flashback was a bit weird. But yeah, that's basically it. He thinks it will scare... The persona will scare criminals, so he dons a persona to scare criminals and clean up his city.
Okay. That makes sense. Sort of.
I mean, it makes sense in a comic book sense. Like, that's it. It's like most like, why does Green Arrow dress like Robin Hood? Because he's like, oh, I'll be Robin Hood, but he never actually like steals money and gives to the poor. He just dresses like Robin Hood. Like, it doesn't always make sense.
Parents dying in DC
Why does...
is pretty popular, by the way. Like, I was thinking of Barry Allen and his
Yeah.
mom, Nora Allen, dying. It's a lot of continuity there with deaths of family members.
Oh, like Disney loves to kill off moms.
I mean,
Like, it's
Superman,
just a
the
favorite
original one,
pastime.
1939. His whole planet died.
It's
Right.
killing off moms and then daddy issues. Those are the two like things that create superheroes.
Star Wars did it.
Oh, also, did anyone else notice a little like what's that theme music when Darth Vader comes out in Star Wars? Did anybody else notice some similar music in this when it was like towards the end more?
Well, there were some comparisons. The Giacchino score is similar to the Imperial March. So
Yeah.
I can play some of it later when we talk about when we go into details, but yeah, it is
Yeah.
kind of similar.
He also did Rogue One. He did Rogue One.
I
the
just was
soundtrack for
wondering
Rogue
what
One.
the connection was because I was like this I don't feel like I'm not a nerd enough to like, really know what that score is, but I felt like it sounded similar.
No, there's no
My
connection,
boyfriend-
but it does sound similar.
Okay.
It's a good ear.
It's one of those where you create an
Yeah.
iconic sound, and then as soon as someone hits those notes on a cello, you know what I mean, with a big band there, big symphony is orchestra. That's the word I was looking for. With an orchestra, once someone gets close to it in an orchestra
Play the
sound,
triangle.
people are gonna be like, wait a minute, I recognize that because it's just so
Yeah.
recognizable.
It was very recognizable. I just
Yeah.
wasn't sure if there was some like weird connection. Okay. Next question. This is a spoiler alert, so I don't know if we're there yet, but at the end, spoiler alert, does Riddler know that Batman is Bruce Wayne?
No, I'm gonna say no.
Okay. I think no.
in
My
this-
answer is no.
No.
Okay.
In this movie, no.
But in other movies, yes.
Yes. In other movies, yes.
Various criminals have at various times discovered who Batman is and have either forgotten, decided they don't care,
Or was rewritten as not canon.
punished him for it, or the world has basically ended and we've reset again.
Yeah.
So like in the Harley Quinn animated series, the Joker finds out he's Batman and is
Right.
pissed that he didn't invent a flying car, and then Joker loses his mind to some accident. he loses
Yeah,
his
loses
memory.
memory.
So it's
Yeah.
like that kind of shit. It's very soap opera-y.
Amnesia.
Yeah, see, the
Yeah.
Joker has a different relationship where it's almost like knowing who Batman is would ruin a lot of the fun of the two of them, right? So,
And was that dude at the very end that was in prison with the Riddler? Is that the Joker?
supposed to be, yeah.
Yes. This Batman's version, yes. The director had said yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is Batman's number one nemesis?
The Joker.
It's definitely the Joker.
Or some would argue himself. But yeah, the Joker.
Ah, that's very existential.
The gun. The gun is his
The gun that
nemesis.
killed his parents.
Oh wow.
Martha. Martha.
Everyone's named Martha.
Sorry.
This is an actual literal question, and you guys might not know. When Batman is like in Madison Square Garden or Gotham Square
I'm
Garden.
glad that you saw the connection too, because I did.
The garden. Didn't they keep saying calling
Gotham
it the
Square
garden?
Garden, I think they
Yeah.
called it.
It was definitely Madison Square Garden.
Right.
He is like passed out and about to die or whatever, and he injects himself. What is he injecting himself with? Is that just
Okay,
adrenaline,
this
or
is-
is that
this-
some like superhero thing that I don't know about?
This is actually quite a bit of contention online right
Yep.
now because adrenaline, number one, is clear.
Clear,
That's
yeah.
the biggest point, is adrenaline is clear. Now, at one point in Batman's history, there's stuff called Venom. And Venom is a serum that increases strength, but also kind of loses some kind of control over themselves with it. It's normally used by Bane, the character in the third Nolan Batman movie, but generally a important character because he broke Batman, literally broke his back in the comics.
Did that happen in a movie too?
It did, yeah.
Yes, it happened in the third movie. It was
But the
more
Venom,
exciting
I
in the
think,
comics.
was invented by Iron Man, wasn't it? If I read that.
But at one point, there was a point, I don't
thought
remember
Poison Ivy
exactly
also had
how
something
much of
to do
it.
with the Venom.
Batman had taken Venom in, I believe it was in a pill form or whatever,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
He was using it to juice.
But it was green.
To try
it
to
was
be
that
a,
same
Right.
color you saw in the movie.
yeah, it's green. So there's a lot of talk because Batman has taken it in the comics. It's a specific color, and that the way he reacted after taking it, that doctors, I know we shouldn't because it's superheroes, but doctors have said you get hit with adrenaline, that's not how you react. You're not especially angry when you get up or violent. That's not what adrenaline does to you. So they're saying his reaction seems to be a bit more than simply, but that would be up to Matt Reeves to say. I don't know. I thought it was cool that it was green
Yeah.
because
he
it
hasn't
stuck out.
addressed that. Matt
Okay.
Reeves has not addressed
Yeah,
that.
he
I just
part of the
wasn't
movie.
sure if it was like this is like the first time he used this thing or whatever, and then it like makes an appearance or is like becomes a big storyline in the future.
No, you have landed right on the button issue right now in the Batman Twitterverse.
Yeah, that's what half the NFL is.
Venom.
I don't frequent the
Hey.
Batman Twitterverse world, just in case you were wondering. All right,
Well, you seem to be on the pulse of it, though.
amazing. Gordon, the police officer that Batman is homies with. How did they become homies, and what is his storyline in the future?
Oh, if you're talking about just the movie, that's a tough question because we only seen what's available to us in the movie. So there's a lot of assumptions that could be made from knowing the backstory. I'm pretty sure he's a Lieutenant Gordon now, soon to be at some point Commissioner Gordon from the comics and the previous movies. It's quite possible that Batman's crusade, and when he first started, he was trying to find cops who were like-minded, who weren't corrupted, who he can trust. And he probably would have
And there's
partnered
only one.
Yeah, it's in the
There's
comics.
only
There's
ever
only
one.
one. He would have partnered with Gordon early on and had some sort of a moment where, he lent his trust to Gordon, and you could tell in this movie that actually existed because of the fact that at some point Gordon is taking the risk and saving Batman from being arrested by the cops at the risk of losing his own job. So the 2 years that we don't see off camera, they must have gone through the trenches together to the point where Whether it's cases that Batman helped him bust to help him promotion or whatever it is, but they build that rapport. We just haven't seen it on camera. That's a
Yeah,
great question.
So we just
Nolan's
assume that.
trilogy.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. But it's a classic partnership throughout the history of the characters. But also, like, this is one thing Nolan did different than anybody else is he took time to build, that.
Yeah.
Who is Gordon, and why does Bruce, why does Bruce kind of think he's a possible trustworthy character, and then building that rapport and to the point where they can help each other when they need to.
In Nolan's version, police officer Gordon was there at the night of his parents' shooting, who was the first cop to take care of him in the police precinct, put his jacket around him to tell him to be okay. And then in the final movie, before Batman's supposed to do the sacrifice, he finally he doesn't tell him outright what's his secret identity, but he gives him one last hint. And that's how Gordon remembers all these years he was Bruce Wayne in his last moment. Mm-hmm. So that's a great relationship.
And there's an entire TV show called Gotham that's a alternative universe Batman Gotham universe.
Started good,
but
it's
based.
terrible.
I think I saw.
But you're right.
Yeah.
It stars and is based around Jim Gordon.
Yeah, I started watching that.
Okay. Yeah, my boyfriend watched Gotham. He really liked it.
You watched the whole thing? You watched the whole show?
Yeah. He loved it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I started watching Gotham. I think I got through halfway through season 1, and I kind of put it to the side. But I need to go back, and because people say I've been hearing different things. A lot of people tell me it's a great, it started getting really good, and some people said meh. So
yeah, in my opinion, it started really great, and the last season and a half kind of ended terrible. Because the kid who played Bruce Wayne became he was growing.
Terrible.
Like,
I hate it.
The actor wasn't his fault. He was supposed to be like 9, 10 years old, and he looked like he was like Robert Pattinson now when he was only like 18, 19. Yeah. So.
But they did some weird stuff in that show. Some stuff was good and fun, and they tried to keep it. When they kept it kind of goofy, it was good. And then they did some other funky things. And
that was terrible too.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what your boyfriend has to say about how that show ended. If he liked the ending.
Yeah, I'll ask. I don't know.
All right, one more if you got it.
Yes, last question. Alfred. Alfred was just like the butler, and then all of a sudden, like this tech genius that knew how to make all of the stuff. What is...
Alfred has never been just
He is no mere butler.
Clearly.
He is no mere butler. There is a series based on the life, and not very good series, but it is a series based on Alfred Pennyworth.
Did you watch season 2 of that, Chris?
I did.
I haven't started season 2 yet.
I watched half of season 2.
Did you give up?
Oh my god, it's not very good. But
okay,
I have not gone back to it. I plan to. It's just
just let Brooks know the modern versions of Alfred's backstory and why he's so different than a typical butler.
He's basically British Secret Service. So he is trained in all of, like, in comic books, if you say someone was in the military, they're automatically an expert at everything the military does, which includes like weapons, explosives, kung fu, like just shit. They're magical, and that's Alfred. He was just a butler because he's a rich kid and someone had to raise him, and so he raised this poor kid. He loves him. He always takes care of him, but at some point, when they wanted to do backstories, they decided that Alfred was this British Secret Service, and he helps Bruce. He's always running the computer when Bruce is out, or he's fixing cars, or building airships, whatever they need him to do.
I think to Chris's point,
he's the magic background guy.
As far as the comics and some of the earlier movies, he was just the butler, but it was more like one of those aristocrats, like the Rockefellers, where you inherit, your father was the butler, your grandfather was the butler to this family, and you're with that family almost like in feudalism. I don't want to say slavery. Feudalism, where, I got to measure my words here. So Alfred was the last generation of his family, Pennyworth, that was taking care of the Waynes, and then obviously when Bruce's parents died, he became kind of like not a foster father, but like a ward.
A foster
Yeah.
father.
But then after a while, it became boring. Like, we need to put a little more juice to this Alfred guy. And then that's what Chris was part of. Like, well, let's just say he's not just a regular butler.
Right.
He actually had some military
Right.
background, and
Okay. Interesting.
And then they start be like, his niece does this and his niece is
Oh, yeah,
that.
in the
and then
latest
he's got
show,
family.
yeah, Batwoman, his niece is. Oh my god, I can't stand her.
Yeah. So yeah, it's expansive because different different universes, they'll take him in different directions. But for the most part, he's the butler with a military history, so he can do whatever Bruce needs him to do in the background, including being a psychiatrist, which is actually like 50% of his job.
It seems like it.
That was good.
Yeah, keeping Bruce from basically murdering the entire city. There's actually one comic where what was it? Where
Didn't he take the cow? Wasn't Alfred Batman for a while?
Yeah, he.
no, there was that, but there was also one where it turned out that Bruce was actually just mentally ill, and so Alfred started dressing up like these evil characters
Oh my
to
God.
help Bruce, and so Alfred was the Joker, and like that's how far some of these go.
That's weird.
But yeah, it's weird. He headbutted Superman once.
Alfred did or Batman did? Alfred?
Alfred did. Superman was depowered, and Alfred just like broke his nose.
For no reason?
Full on headbutt. I think he was pissed at what Superman was doing to Bruce. If you fuck with Bruce, you fuck with Alfred.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you. You guys have enlightened me. Even though I didn't prepare my questions, I felt like
Oh, those
Still
are
a good question.
Hit at the
Very
heart. Very good.
amazing. Thanks, guys.
You know what you're talking about.
Let's
All right.
take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll dive into the movie, right?
The Batman. The Batman. The Batman. Welcome back, everybody, and we're here to talk about the 2022 newly released movie, The Batman. This is directed by Matt Reeves, written by Matt Reeves and Peter Craig,
Did you say right?
and written. Did I say?
You
written?
said right.
Did I try to say writers and then transferred to written?
I thought the name was your problem, not
Where'd it
just
go?
basic. Never mind, go ahead.
No, basic English words. Sorry about that. Starring Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Jeffrey Wright, and let's say Colin Farrell, Paul Dano, John Turturro, Andy Serkis, and we won't go past that because no one else is important. So
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Is this not why you are here?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Knock that shit off.
how do I want to start here? So I got some notes that I did sit down and write some notes. This is definitely a noir detective murder mystery, which sets it slightly apart from the other verses. So this is following Batman in year 2. We don't have to watch the murder of his parents, but Batman has cast a long shadow of fear across of Gotham City. Both criminals, low-level criminals, and citizens. But he's not having the effect he wishes to have, and he doesn't know why he's not having the effect he wants to have. And then he gets pulled into an investigation of an actual serial killer who's leaving him notes at the crime scene. Who is this mysterious Riddler? We will find out by the end of the movie. It's really not a big mystery, but we'll find that there. So I think I want to start with this. Let's talk about Batman, because getting Batman set is probably the most important part of a Batman movie. And we can talk about comparing other Batman as well. But we will start right there before we even talk about Gotham and setting and all that stuff. So let's talk about Robert Pattinson's Batman. What did you guys think of this portrayal. Can include your ideas about his portrayal of Bruce Wayne, his motivations as the character, his tech, all that stuff. Everything Batman related. I'm gonna let Brooksy go first. What did you think of Robert Pattinson?
I didn't love him as Batman. I feel like everyone else is gonna disagree with me. I,
All opinions are valid here.
Thank you. I didn't love him as Batman, and I couldn't like put my finger on it, but I also really, really enjoyed fuck, what's his name as Batman? J Lo's new old boo.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck. Thank you. I really enjoyed him as Batman, which I think you guys did not enjoy him as. But I just felt like, yes, he was supposed to be this like dark, brooding, depressed dude, but I just didn't feel like he had any chemistry or any like, I don't know. I feel like Batman is supposed to have this, even though he's like this dark, depressed, brooding, whatever guy, he's supposed to have some type of like charisma or that like something um that kind of draws people to him, and I did not feel that at all from him. And I will say, like, my least favorite part of the movie was his chemistry between him and Catwoman. That was, I felt like there was zero chemistry, and it actually detracted a little bit from the movie for me, because if they're like going to kiss, I feel like I want to see that like build up or that chemistry or something, and I didn't at all.
Look, he's no Vin Diesel for attracting the
I
women.
mean, not everyone
I
can be
agree
Vin
with that.
Diesel. What can I say?
Thank God.
But
Good points there. Some good points there so far. I agree.
yeah, I don't know. I didn't love him. Like, that whatever they say, that je ne sais quoi, like he didn't have it for me. So that's my answer.
All right. Well, hey, all opinions are valid, even bad ones. James, speaking of James.
Speaking of, no, I kind of half agree with what Brooks was saying. Let me start with what I don't agree with. I think he was a great Batman, meaning when he donned the costume and portrayed himself as Batman, the character, I thought he was better than I really expected him to be. Because I was one of the first ones saying, "Boo! You guys were sending me stills of him like 2.5 years ago," and I was like, "This is trash. Not my Batman. Whatever." I was very toxic about it. And then the trailers came out. I'm like, maybe. Then I saw Tenet. I'm like, oh, maybe with some more. And I saw the movie, and I'm like, as Batman from the comics and some of the animated TV show, I thought he did an outstanding job, and he really captured the Batman, the suit Batman. As Bruce Wayne, however, and this is where I'm starting to agree with Brooks, I thought he was a terrible Bruce Wayne, and And I have to also admit to the fact that this is year two Bruce Wayne slash Batman, and perhaps he hasn't built that persona yet where he understands that he has to have a dichotomy of himself. He can't just be brooding, moody the whole way. Oh, the difference is he just puts on the suit and the eyeliner. He's got to build a billionaire, playboy, philanthropist that for example, Tony Stark and Iron Man. He's got to build up to that charismatic playboy, and clearly he's not in this movie. And he portrayed, actually it was no Bruce Wayne. It was really Batman with the suit on, without the suit on. So I agree with Brooks. I also agree with Brooks on okay, it's not just with Zoe Kravitz's character Selena Kyle, but also with Alfred. Like, he's a douchebag. Like, Alfred almost dies because of him being because of Bruce Wayne. And he goes to the hospital, and the first thing he does is, "You lied to me.
You lied to me.
I'm like, dude,
you lied to me.
Give this dude some Jello pudding pops or something. Maybe he's like the first thing you should be like, "Hey, how are you feeling?" No, you lied to me. By the way, the Selena Kyle, the Catwoman chemistry, to me, I thought was creepy in the beginning when he's spying on her as she's getting undressed and getting dressed, and then even when she comes forward to kiss him, he just stands there like, I don't know what to do. Like, and
dude's a virgin. Come on,
clearly he's a
virgin.
virgin.
He's an incel.
But I think his relationship with everybody in the movie was awkward.
What's a purposeful incel?
Yeah, that's
What's
an
that?
incel. No,
See,
well,
What's that
yeah,
term?
that's a
I don't want
No,
that's just
that's
a cell.
to. Yeah, we start talking
a
about
cell.
incel. We'll get to the Riddler character later, but
Yeah. We'll get there. We'll get
but
there.
I think that if I just look at him as the Batman figure, like that intro, probably one of the best intros I've ever seen for the Batman character live action.
A lot of slow walking.
Him being menacing, him fighting and all that stuff as Batman, I thought was terrific. Once he took the suit off, I didn't feel it. I felt like, oh, damn, it's Robert Pattinson with the emo hair and everything, and he's not even trying. He
Hated the
goes to the
hair.
funeral.
Hated the hair.
He drives, supposed to be a luxury car, and he just stands there. There's one scene where he has to put sunglasses on to read a book inside of the mansion, talking to Alfred. Like everything about him as Bruce Wayne to me was just so off-putting, and it was just not good.
All right.
Thank God that's only
Mike.
one small portion of the entire movie, but yeah.
Yeah, so I agree with James that I thought he was a good Batman. He got a lot of slack because of Twilight, and people underestimate his acting skills. But he's actually a pretty good actor.
I think you mean he got a lot of
Slack.
flack,
Yeah, you're
not
right.
He got a
Flack.
lot of
slack.
Flack is the
slack.
word, right?
Flack.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
opposite of slack is
I
flack.
gave him a lot of slack because I had seen him in Tenet. I've seen him in some other things, so I know he's got the skills. But people shit on him a lot for Twilight, understandably. But as Batman, I thought
He shits on.
And
yeah,
Harry
I thought he
Potter.
did a great job. I thought they did a great job with the Batman character. I'm gonna assume though, on the Bruce Wayne side, James was spot on with everything he said. But I'm gonna take it as, yeah, this is year two Batman, and Bruce Wayne is not a developed character. Because one thing I kind of feel about Batman and Bruce Wayne is that Batman is the person and Bruce Wayne is the alter ego. It's not usually it's
The
the other
mask.
way, but Bruce Wayne is the guy he has to pretend to be, and Batman is his true self.
See,
So I would say
I'll
that
get.
he's learning to be Bruce Wayne, and hopefully we'll see that in the next movie.
All right, Chris got a hot
all right.
take
So
ready. I know it.
no, I would say we all somewhat agree to an extent that Kevin Conroy's um, the Bruce Timmiverse, the animated Batman, is basically the best Batman, right? Am I a bridge
Best
too far with
combination of
that
the
one?
two. The best combination of the two.
Right.
Bruce and Batman.
And that one I feel is relatively even. I never feel like Conroy and Bruce Timm are making Bruce Wayne a mask. I feel like that Batman is just in the zone and has the ability to go between those two universes. So I think rather than which I would say the Keatonaverse, Keaton is definitely feels like Batman's the thing, and then he's playing this Playboy thing off to the side. And Bale is definitely doing that. Bale is 100% creating a mask with his Bruce Wayne.
Mhm.
All right, so let's get back to Pattinson. So I was agreeing with you guys when I was watching the movie at first and my initial reading of the movie. But there was a few scenes that the more I thought about it and as the movie went and finalized as it got to the end, I kind of opened up to this view or the creation of this Bruce Wayne, and that is Bruce Wayne is just a broken boy in this. He is not. There's a scene where he comes out to that funeral steps. Again, we're doing all spoilers. We've already been through this. He comes out to the funeral steps and he goes to Falcone. He basically charges toward Falcone. And Falcone goes, "Oh, it's Bruce Wayne, the only person in Gotham that people see less than me."
Mhm.
Right? So Bruce Wayne basically doesn't show himself at all.
The
He doesn't
recluse.
even
Yeah.
pretend. Yeah, he's a complete recluse. And so it's not like he's playing a bad Bruce Wayne. he tells Alfred, "I don't care about the money. I don't care about my father's company. I don't care about that stuff. Like, this is his life. This is what he's built. This is what he thinks he has to do. He's still just broken." And the movie actually is very specific about this, and how it handles it towards the end is to say you can start to see that he starts to understand the uses for these things. Like, so his relationship with Selena Kyle starts to show him that there's a use for not just dressing as a bat to get information, but also being a regular person, be able to get to places and talk to people. Like, that's useful for what he has to do. And then, of course, the final arc of his character at the end is that you can't just inspire fear. You have to do the other stuff too.
But Chris,
So
you're making a great points, but you're making the points that Batman's character development, like all the stuff that he realized what he had to do to get the information, and the fact that he had to instill hope, not just vengeance, that was Batman character
but
development.
I'm not separating the two. Like, I don't separate Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. They're the same person, I hate to tell you. Just like Batman and Bruce Wayne are the same person. So one has character development, the other has character development. So I think I liked him overall. You're right in that his Batman in suit action gruffness was great.
Yes.
I really enjoyed it. It was better than I expected it to be. Definitely above average. I love all
top two probably.
Again, I agree with you that his Bruce Wayne was lacking, but because the movie specifically targeted that, I'm not going to hold that against him as the actor, because he was purposely doing a thing. All right. Why don't we move on to some of the other characters here? We'll start with Batman's friends. We'll start with Catwoman, because you guys had some specific issues.
I wouldn't call them friends.
Catwoman.
More like associates.
Gonna go in the opposite direction. Go Mike first.
So Zoe Kravitz played Catwoman Selena Kyle. I don't know. I wasn't too impressed with her, really, to be honest. Like, I thought she was fine, but I wouldn't say she was the best live action Catwoman we've seen. And I agree with Brooksy. There was like no chemistry between her and Robert Pattinson, so that one was kind of a failure, like, to me. She did have the action acting chops though. Like, she threw some good kicks and stuff. So unless it was a stunt double, I don't know.
Stunt double. I couldn't tell. I was trying to see if that was her or stunt double.
But
either way, they did a good job of going between the two and making her feel like she could do all the stuff you saw the character do. Am I the only one who actually enjoyed Zoe Salada's performance?
Yeah,
or Zoe Kravitz?
Zoe Saldana. Jesus, dude.
Yeah, I mixed
Zoe Saldana,
sounds in my brain. ADHD really screwed me up on that one. All right.
Beyonce?
Yeah.
I enjoyed Zoe Kravitz overall performance, and I thought they had decent chemistry. I wouldn't say it was off the charts or anything great, but I thought it was decent. As far as like the Batman relationships we've seen, it's middle of the pack. But there hasn't been like super great chemistry in some of the Batman movies.
I felt like they had zero chemistry.
Michelle Pfeiffer
way better.
Michelle Pfeiffer is that's the top of the heap.
Yeah.
But if you go from there, like, did you really feel that Bale and
I didn't feel no
had anything? Did you feel that Vicky Vale and Keaton?
No.
All right. So this one bugged me. Jim Gordon felt like a Sherpa, and that was his only job. He showed Batman around the city to different crime scenes, and he did not change his facial expression.
Yeah, but
was that his thing? Is that how he normally is?
No. He is the only good cop, and he has to like deal with being the only good cop in this city
I still
that is
think
falling
the
apart.
Gary
And I didn't
Oldman
feel
version
that
is
from
probably the best version of Commissioner Gordon, other than maybe again the animated version. because he's much older in the animated
Right.
Right.
TV show than he's
Right.
been in live action. So he's more
And I
grizzled.
don't think this isn't a Jeffrey Wright thing. We've seen Jeffrey Wright be a
Oh yeah.
great actor. Like they just did not write anything for this
No.
Jim Gordon to
At some
do.
points, he felt like he was a bumbling cop. Like he was bumbling the clues himself. Like he was like bumbling the evidence. He wasn't quite sure. I did like the good cop bad cop thing that he did with the Batman with the Penguin. That was great. But you're right. For the most part, I mean, I expected more from him, and I didn't
It
get
was
that.
almost like he was
So,
just there because he's always been there in Batman
yeah.
lore. So Matt Reeves was
And
like,
Well, they
and he got
needed
a.
they
By the
needed
way,
a
there was a lot of
reason.
flack for it. First of all, race switching
I
because
don't care about all
traditionally
that, but
he's
yeah.
no, no. Let me
Sorry.
finish. There's a lot of flack by
Hmm.
fans of the show. I'm not saying general fans. You know that certain
Yeah,
group of
yeah.
fans that said, "Oh, now you're gonna blackwash this dude. You know he better come out. He better come correct." And I don't think he did come correct. So now you've gotten all this ammunition for a certain group of people saying, you know, why did you switch the race of the character if you're not going to make him a better character? Don't just give us representation. Don't just give us representation without good quality content. You know. So that's out
So
Well,
there too.
mm,
the only thing I would say to that would be like, this is pretty white movie otherwise. Uh Alfred. We gotta ask about Alfred. Did you guys like this Alfred? He was smart. He was trying to help. He was fine. But again, I felt like Batman was just really mean to him. Like that was how what I
yeah,
took
see,
away
that's a
from
Batman
Alfred.
issue though,
Batman
not an
was really
Alfred
mean.
issue. I think. Yeah,
Right. No, no, I
I
get
thought
it.
Andy Serkis did a good job. I thought the character was written fine. And Serkis pulls off
Mhm.
Alfred well. Um,
Mhm.
I agree with Mike. I have nothing else to add. I agree with Mike on that one.
we don't get too
Yep.
much. That's the thing in Batman.
Oh, by the way, the aunt. I keep calling her Aunt Dora because that's who she was in the '66
Uh,
Batman. But who was
the
the
maid. Yeah,
female,
there
the
was a
older
maid there.
lady, the
Yeah.
maid? Was that a maid?
Well, he had a staff,
Random
right? So
maid,
I
like a
mean,
housekeeper.
Yeah, it's a new character that was introduced that's close to
hmm
Bruce that we haven't seen since the '66 version of Batman.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, yeah. Normally it's just Alfred in the
Yeah,
giant
so
house,
that's
and now
news to
he's got
Brooks
like a whole
also.
Right,
staff.
but we
That
got to assume
character.
that big house there's going to be a staff, right? Like,
Yeah, but we've
yeah,
never seen
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah,
The
this is
only
the
time we've
first.
seen
This is the
staff
first.
is in the Bale one was that party, and
When he's throwing a
yeah,
party,
that's
house
it.
party.
Yeah.
It's probably catering anyway.
All right.
Yeah.
Now the fun part. The fun part about Batman is the
Mhm.
villains.
Is it really?
The villains.
Yeah,
So
it
we're
is.
gonna go top to bottom. The most important villain, the main villain, man sending notes to his BFF Batman, the Riddler.
And so, alt right.
Riddler played by Paul Dano. Now, this I was surprised how little we Paul Dano had to do. Like he had one good scene to work with. I know he had some videotapes and shit like that. But for the most part, Paul Dano had like one scene to sell me. But what I did like was the writing on the motivation for the Riddler and when him and Batman clash. That was what really got me and what really sold me on this whole setup here was the kind of sister motivation that you're like, oh shit, he thinks we're BFFs. What's going on here? Uh,
Yeah.
Brooksy, I'm gonna let you go
I
first on this
really
one.
enjoyed the Riddler's character. He was my favorite character in this movie by far. He was
Nice.
like, he played batshit crazy, like perfectly batshit crazy, no pun intended.
Good one.
Thank you. That was I feel like that was a mic joke. Um,
Nah, it's better what Mike could have done.
but he was like perfect in this movie, and then at the end, that scene, I think that's what you're talking about, Chris, between him and Batman when he's in prison and they're kind of going back and forth, and Batman's like, fuck, he knows I'm Bruce Wayne, and is like sweating a little bit, like, and I was like, does he know, and like getting excited. That was my favorite scene of the movie. And then you realize he doesn't know that
No.
he, like, spoiler alert, he doesn't actually know. He has a whole separate issue for hating. I mean, we realize why he hates Bruce Wayne, but we it kind of is like led up to think he hates Batman and Bruce Wayne. Like he knows that they're the same person. And then you realize at the end he doesn't realize they're the same person. Um, and it's just so interesting. And like, God, he is so good in this role. I don't know if he's like in it enough to get any awards. And I don't know anything about like the awards ceremony shows, the Oscars, whatever the hell they're called. Um, I know.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Number one, superhero movies rarely get, if ever,
Yeah.
get
Fair, fair.
things. And I don't think you see him
Enough. But
enough.
that, I mean, he was
He
so
doesn't get
great.
Joker level
Yeah,
scenes.
he was so great in that role. Like at the end, I mean, I believed that he was like,
I mean, there is precedent for DC Batman villains getting Oscars. Heath Ledger, Joaquin
Yeah,
Phoenix.
but number one, he'd have to
But
die, and number two,
he had to
I
do
don't.
what Joaquin
No,
Phoenix did and carry the entire movie, which he
Yeah.
didn't do.
yeah, which he didn't do because he was on videotape
Yeah.
during 90% of it. So James,
No, Brooks, are you done? Sorry. Um, I agree with Brooks almost entirely. He was probably, I wouldn't say he's my favorite character in the movie. He was definitely up there because I have a dark horse, another villain. We'll get to him. Um, yeah, like he reminded me a combination of Jigsaw from Saw. Um, what's his name that we don't mention anymore because he's a pedophile. The dude from Seven and Kevin Spacey, from Seven, and sorry, Chris. And he had like that weird incel, crazy psychopath, Zodiac killer vibe about him. And then even within a moment when they get him at the coffee station, and he's just sitting there, and you see all of these guns and the entire Gotham PD SWAT team on him. He's so calm, collected, and he sees Batman in the mirror and does that weird crooked smile. I'm like, ugh. Like my hairs started raising. And then the scene that Brooks alluded to, yeah, that's probably the best acting moment in the entire movie. Was the two of them. It reminded me of Heath Ledger and Batman and The Dark Knight when Heath and Christian Bale's going at it. To me, I got the feeling of the two of them. And then when we realize he doesn't know, and then Batman flips on him, Batman's telling him, you're not that smart, you're not this and a third. And you see he's getting frantic and crazy. Like, wait a minute. I thought we were. That was great. I don't know whether they improvised that, if that was Matt Reeves' script or whatever. That was probably the best acted moment. Like, if this movie does get nominated, which it probably won't, that scene is what they're going to showcase for consideration.
yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
All
add
right, Mike.
quickly. Yeah, so Dano did a great job, and this Riddler is the Riddler we're supposed to see. The problem with the Riddler, Jim Carrey's performance in Batman Forever, is basically what they did was
A
they
lot.
took the Joker and put him in a question mark suit and made it let him loose, right? And Jim Carrey's performance was so out there. The script was ridiculous. That's not who the Riddler is, right? This Riddler, I liked. He
Yeah.
was methodical. He was genius. He was dark. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
when you have Joker, who's that agent of chaos. You need that Riddler, who's the methodical, serial killing madman, right? Yeah,
More
right,
order to the chaos. Order to his evil
right.
as chaotic
Yeah, because the
evil.
Riddler's supposed to be more
Yeah,
narcissistic than
right.
psychopath. Yeah,
So
that's the difference.
and I think that we got that in this movie. So
Yeah, because there's always what's the difference between the Riddler and the Joker? Well, this is the
exactly.
difference
Yeah.
between the Riddler and the Joker. That he's actually smarter than Batman. He's 10 steps ahead. Like literally the whole time. The fact that he was living in the place where he wanted everything to finish. And then he had to set up, even leaving clues, even giving you a chance. He's smarter than you, and he's better than you, and he's farther ahead than you. And they did a great job. And you're right, that opening scene with him in the dark, and you see the mayor, and he's watching the TV, and then all of a sudden he like turns off the TV, and you see the eyes. Great scene. And I think we're going to agree on this, James, is that my favorite villain and the biggest character in this movie, we're going to talk about the
Yes.
Penguin,
who already
or
has an
Colin
HBO Max
Farrell,
show
if
greenlit to be coming out this year.
the man you would not recognize in a million years in his makeup, Colin Farrell, just killed
He
this
did.
role. James, I'm gonna let you
He
go
did.
first.
I kind of knew beforehand because I'm a super nerd, so I did all the research in Google and knew that he'd be in the movie. I knew what role he would play. I knew that HBO already greenlit before this movie came out an HBO Max show, which would probably be yeah, Bullseye, terrible role. He had some terrible roles throughout the years. Miami Vice. Um, so I knew that his performance gave WB and DC so much confidence that they were going to give him that show, the spinoff show for HBO Max. So I was like, all right, he must be one hell of a freaking character in this. And in Penguin, the Penguin character and the entire mythos of Batman lore was never one of my favorite characters. In fact, the New 52 comic books that came out the last 10 years now, they revamped Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin, to be a super mastermind who has the brains of the Riddler and the violence and brutality of the Joker, and also the connection with the Waynes and Arkham's, the crime family through like the what do you call it, the Court of Owls. So he's become one of the most top tier criminals that Batman has to face. So I'm like, all right, maybe I don't know what Matt Reeves is gonna do. I was not expecting to see this version of the Penguin where I mean, yeah, he's got the quips and he got the funny humor, but then you could sense that this dude is smart. This dude is maniacal if he needs to be. This dude has some sort of empathy with Selena Kyle's character. Like they gave me so many facets of the Penguin. Forget about the fact that I couldn't imagine this is Colin Farrell wearing that fat suit and the facial makeup. This is Colin Farrell going for broke the way William Dafoe went for broke for and Green Goblin and Spider Man No Way Home. Every scene that he was in, he crushed. My favorite, definitely, and then we're probably not going to talk about the Batmobile chase scene, but when they finally caught, I mean, that scene, and then when they finally caught him, and then Gordon and Bruce are doing the Bruce Batman are doing the Bat Cop, Batshit Cop, and he's like looking at them, and he's breaking it down. You guys got some harmony here, start harmonize, and like obviously some of that's the writing, but he pulls it off as the actor. He pulls it off every scene that he's in. I'm captivated to seeing what he's gonna do, what he's gonna say. Like to me, it's brilliant. And then it actually reminded me a little bit more of Jack Nicholson's Joker as a Batman villain than anything else, because Jack Nicholson had the charisma to steal a scene that he was in, even against Michael Keaton's Batman. And Colin Farrell, to me, apologies paid to Paul Dano's Riddler and John Turturro's Falcone and everyone else involved in the movie. To me, he was a standout villain in this movie, and I can't wait to see what HBO Max does with the six. If Peacemaker is any indication, this is gonna be like a brutal Sopranos, The Wire superhero type of joint.
No habla español,
You got
guys.
third grade Spanish. You guys don't know how to conjugate.
Dude, that was great. He just hit all his lines. Brooks, what did you think of the Penguin?
I actually had to like Google in the middle of the movie theater that this was Colin Farrell because I was like, there's no way. I'm like,
Pull the phone out.
I did. And I never do that in the theater because I hate when people do that. And there was someone in front of me doing it the
Yeah,
whole
that is
time.
not
And I
like you.
wanted to
That is
like,
not you. I'm shocked you did that.
yeah, because
Because there's this light, like just a beacon that just
No.
appears.
I mean, I did
Brooks
turn my
Brooks is
screen
a
down
very theater protocol. Like she's about her
because
thing when
I
she's in the
hate when
theater.
people like don't do that. I don't know. It really bothers me. It ruins the experience for everyone else. So, um, I literally had to pull my phone up because I was like, I got that wrong. Like I somehow missed that. But so I will say, like on that front, he was great. I thought he was great in this. I thought he was really great. I mean, I liked him. He didn't like steal the show for me at all. I kind of actually wanted more from him, more like penguiny stuff from him. Whatever that means. Like he was over the top. I wanted him like more over the top. I don't know. I always think of the Penguin as this like larger than life
Danny
character.
Danny
Yes,
DeVito.
DeVito.
exactly. And I wanted more of like that from him. That I wasn't getting. He was more of just like this. like crime boss with this like I don't know. That's kind of like what I got from him. Not like
Crime boss with
with
a
a shtick.
shtick. Welcome to
Yeah,
Batman.
exactly. But I didn't hate him. Like I liked him. I didn't have any issues. Like I thought he was great. I just like wanted a little bit more from him.
Yeah, I don't
Mike?
really have much to add. I thought he did a great job as well. Looking forward to that show. I want to see more of this character though. I want to see what they do with him in the future. So.
Yeah. All right, so let's go into some more
Actually, let's
technical
take a
stuff.
break
And,
first, and
give you-
then when we come back, we'll dive in.
all right,
Dear Lord,
take a
Mike, we're
break. We'll
getting
go
heated
into.
up now.
How are we getting heated up? We're changing topics.
Yeah, about to get to the good
Yeah,
stuff.
so we'll take a break. We'll come back. And we'll talk about it. Sound good?
All right.
There
All
you
right,
go.
more good stuff when we get back. Woo! All right, guys, let's finish this. We are going to talk about the technicals.
Stop clicking the pen.
Unlike
Shout out to Broken Tech.
unlike the Oscars, we are not going to ignore the technical categories. So, first thing, I want to let you guys talk about the music. Unfortunately, as I've said before in the podcast, I am like deaf in a movie theater. For some reason, music doesn't click with
Mike, you
me.
hear
I'm
this
listening
dude?
to dialogue,
Mike, have
I'm
you listened
seeing
to this guy?
effects. It
The
just
king of musicals and every
Yeah, I
freaking
know.
musical movie that comes out. Like,
I love
what
musicals,
variant of
but
Chris is this?
musicals is like dialogue plus music, so like it's all together. This is just
As
like
the young kid
it's
says,
background
as the young
effect,
kids say these days,
it's
you're
mood
capping.
creation. It's very important. If you
You're
take the
capping.
music out,
Chris
you
is
would
capping right
notice.
now.
But
You do not use that
I
word
don't know.
correctly, James. You've
It
got to
just
stop using that.
but I'm sorry, I don't hear it, so I'm going to let you guys
So you
talk
didn't
about
like
the
the
music.
music in this at all? Is that what you're
No, I
saying?
don't think you're saying that.
Who, me? No, I just don't hear it. I literally it doesn't.
What does that mean?
He doesn't pay attention to it enough to.
So
Yeah.
if there's a scene, the music creates a feeling like dread or whatever,
Yeah.
those kind of things. But if you played it for me afterwards and said, "What part of the movie was this in?" I have no clue. Like seriously, I'm just deaf to the specific music playing. I could not hum you a tune for the life of
Which is
me.
weird because
It just
every
doesn't
time we
happen.
review one of the musical numbers, you'll always tell me exactly what scene and what music was playing. But I get it.
But
You
that's
need
but that's
words. You need
like
words with the
it's
music.
specific
Yeah.
dialogue and
I get it
story.
now.
Musicals do it differently. But
Michael Giacchino, shout out to New Jersey. He's from Rivertown, New Jersey. He had, in my opinion, he had a great flavor of mixing the soundtrack that he was composing to the music to the point where when I left the movie, unlike Chris, it was still in my head. I was tuning it to the point where Eric, who watched the movie, was getting sick and annoyed because it stuck with me. It resonated. It was in my bones. Certain scenes I could relate to his first entrance at the subway station. Um, when he was in the highway driving the Batmobile, there's a certain song they were playing. The only songs I didn't like was the Nirvana songs because we all know the Nirvana songs, and I'm like, ugh, that part I didn't like. But that wasn't really him. Um, that's soundtrack music. It's not score. Uh, to me, it resonates to the point where I bought that. I bought the album. I bought the soundtrack just to hear it again and connect my feelings with the movie with actual audio. I think he did a great job. This is, by the way, to me, in my opinion, I keep always chopping his last name.
Wait,
I'm doing a Chris here. Michael
James,
Giacchino.
where just a quick question. Where
Thank
did
you.
you buy the soundtrack?
Sam Goody.
I
No, Spotify, Apple
Okay.
iTunes. Bye. I'm sorry, down.
Thank you, Mike. That was the correct answer.
No, JNR Music World. So you guys took me off my point. My point I'm trying to say is that I think he's the modern Hans Zimmer. Like he has a knack of putting a score behind parts of the movie that resonates with you. For me, maybe not for you, Chris. When I leave the theater, it's in my head. I'm driving home, it's in my head. I'm home brushing my teeth, it's in my head. I'm home, like going to work, that music score still plays in my head. Um,
Now I'm all visual. Like
which
seriously,
is
we'll talk about it when
perfectly
we get there.
fine.
But
But I
the
tweeted her in a Heroes Peak Twitter account that said this dude deserves, and it's too late for 2022, the Oscars. 2023, he deserves consideration. He's done a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's like in 2 weeks, I
all
think.
right,
Yeah.
Brooks, you said you heard the Imperial March. What did you think generally?
I really liked it. I really, really liked the score a lot. I really thought it added to the movie, the emotions, like all of it. I even liked the Nirvana song in it. I know, and I'm not like a Nirvana fan at all, but no, I'm surprised that you said that, Chris, because I thought this score was like excellent in this movie.
It probably is. Like I just don't hear it. Like seriously. Like when Nirvana kicked off, I went, "Oh, that's Nirvana." And then it just fades into the background
Is that because
completely
you were
and
so
all
into the
visuals.
visuals
Like
that
my
you
brain
just
is just
couldn't?
my my brain like it if you were to put things in layer order, like my brain goes visuals, this, and then everything else like audio
I'm
is
so
like the bottom of
confused
the
because of
list.
the musical.
Um, yeah. So the score fit perfectly.
The,
Giacchino was a good choice. He's a great composer. He did the Star Trek movie, the JJ Star Trek movies, which I thought were trash, but the score was fantastic.
He did a lot.
He was the composer for the Lost TV series back in '04, which was a
That's
great,
how he
yeah,
started. That's where he
yeah.
started, the Lost TV show.
He's done it quite a bit, and when I say that this fit perfectly with this type of movie, which was very, I would say, as opposed to Hans Zimmer's score for the Nolan trilogy, which was more impactful.
Mm,
This one was more
subdued.
ominous.
Ominous.
Ominous,
Sorry.
that's the word. And if we,
oh, that's a
and
great
I feel
word.
like if Hans Zimmer had come in and done this, it would have been too much for the movie.
That's why I'm saying he's a new Hans
Yeah.
Zimmer, but he has a different touch.
So
Yeah.
definitely a great score for this movie, I thought.
Now for me, my favorite thing about this movie was the cinematography.
I knew
So
that
the
was coming. I knew
cinematographer,
that was coming.
Greg Fraser, uh, when I looked it up, worked on Dune, which I praised when we talked about
He's
it,
nominated for that too, right?
specifically the cinematography, and Rogue One, which we all loved. Well, we all loved Rogue One. Rogue One was great, and I noticed. So I'm recognizing the similarities in there. But Greg Fraser, wonderful job. Specifically, him and Matt Reeves working together, and the lighting. It blew me away the whole
Which is
time.
shocking
The
for a DC
way,
movie. But go ahead.
right? I mean, they I watched a couple of interviews with Matt Reeves about some of the stuff they did and how they specifically worked to light stuff from the lighting source, like the flare scene at the end is specifically lit by the flare. It's not CG'd flared so they could get and make it. It looks really natural. The scene with the we'll talk about the Batmobile, I'm sure, in a few minutes. The Batmobile introduction was amazing
Shout out to
because
sound editing too,
ha-
whoever did that. But go ahead.
sound the rumble, but also the cinematography, how they hard mounted the camera
Near the wheel,
to the
yes,
Batmobile so that when it shook, like when it rumbled and it
you could
shook,
see
the
it.
camera shook the same way, and you feel
Also, the
that
camera
as a
on
viewer.
Robert Pattinson as Batman when he's escaping the police and he's suiting up, and you see his face.
And
It's
it goes
like
up.
when people go from like skydiving and they have the camera and their
Hmm.
face stays still, but you see everything else. That's
Yeah,
never
some of
seen
the,
that in
I
a
was going to
movie
say, I had
ever.
mentioned when I came out of the theater that the camera work was brilliant in this movie. Like
I have not seen
when
it in
he
a
dove
regular
off the
movie, much
building
less
and
a
they followed
superhero
him
movie.
right behind with the camera and he's
Yeah.
flying, gliding through
Hmm.
the buildings and stuff. Some amazing camera work there.
Shout outs to the highway chase scene though.
Sometimes you got to
Like
go.
I don't know if that was the camera or the director of photography or that was Matt Reeves, whoever's behind that highway chase scene. I think they did really well. from the moment the Batmobile is introduced to the moment that it flips upside down and he's walking through. That entire chase sequence is something that you're gonna see on TNT to like 2075, or we're all long and gone. That scene's gonna
Look,
be on
I was
repetition mode.
I was skeptical about this Batmobile. I was. And but interesting the way they throughout the movie before they introduce it. It's like under a tarp and they
Mm-hmm.
specifically shoot the pieces of the engine. You're like, "Hey, something's coming
Yeah,
for
you don't see
you.
the whole thing
Something's
yet.
coming."
Yeah,
And then the introduction, and this is where the sound did kick in, that
the
rumble,
rumble and the,
and then the back flares and you get the outline of the car and the headlights go on and it's like this monster
there's a
and
moment,
it
and I've
was
and I've been trying to like listen to a bunch of podcasts, and I think we're all in agreement. There's a moment where it looks like he over ramps it, and then the engine kind of kicks out for a second. Then it turns back
Mhm.
on before he actually drives the
Hmm.
car. To me, it's realistic. Like there's so much RPMs behind this bad boy that he over cranks it, and the engine has to recycle. And I'm like, holy shit! Like that's
well
very
I heard someone compare that to like a lion on a chain,
Yeah,
like
right.
it
yes,
So
jumps
much torque. Yeah.
and and yeah, and then you're like, oh shit, like that.
like
So they did a great job. That tension building of Matt Reeves. We can talk about direction in general.
let's do it
Matt
right now. Yeah,
Reeves Matt Reeves did a wonderful job, top to bottom. His script he created and the tension and style and story that he fed all together, I think really made
here's my
this.
hot take, Chris.
No, it
Not
yeah, go
since
for it.
Ryan Coogler did Black Panther has there been a better director doing a superhero movie. Not since Ryan Coogler. That's my hot take.
Wow, because I really loved the Suicide Squad
James
direction.
Gunn.
I thought that was some
Yeah, but James
James
Gunn didn't
Gunn.
do what James Gunn wasn't as creative. Yeah, storytelling and script and getting you from point A to point B, but Matt Reeves created new shit that I haven't seen before.
It did feel like there was just like a new visual pop to
Yeah,
this.
not since Ryan
I
Coogler
agree
for
with
me.
that.
That's my hot take.
All right. Why don't we give
Hold on, real quick.
grades?
Easter
Oh,
eggs.
oh,
There's a
what do
couple
you want?
Easter eggs.
I forgot. Yeah, you wanted to talk
Um,
about Easter eggs.
all right, this is a low hanging fruit. Most of us knew about this because there was some interviews that were released that the Batman logo on his chest was supposed to rep that he used actually as a weapon twice in the movie is actually the gun that was used to kill his parents melted down, and he took that and formed the shape of the Batman logo. So that,
That means that 10-year-old, after his parents were killed, picked up the gun and
well, someone
pocketed
picked
it.
up the gun. Yeah, it may not have been him. It
Or
could
he
have been
broke
the
into the
because remember
evidence
Joe
locker.
Cho shot him, dropped the gun, and ran. So police
Mm,
department had the evidence, and then so forth.
had the evidence.
Easter
Okay,
egg.
okay.
Another. This is an Easter egg that only I came up with, and then I'm seeing on some websites I'm not going to give credit to because I saw it first during the movie. The actor at the beginning of the movie where he was going through the gang initiation, and they're about to perform an Asian hate crime. Um, yeah, so the actor who was African American, light skinned, who didn't want to participate in that crime, and then Batman comes out, makes his intro, and then the one guy's about to shoot. He's like, "No!" He hits the gun down. That actor also played Tim Drake in the Titans show on HBO Max. Who, for those of us who know the Batman lore, he becomes the third Robin. The Wayne
Okay.
Manor Batcave and technology we didn't really get into. Um, the Wayne Manor being
But also
part
in
of
a
like a train
tower.
station was yeah, in a tower. It's been
Yeah,
used.
Wayne
Yeah, it's
Tower
been used in the
is a
comics a
is
lot. It's been used in different versions, Elseworld version of the Batman. So that's a small little Easter egg. Nothing huge about that. And then lastly was a Joker cameo at the end that we kind of glossed around. Joker already being in Arkham Asylum, people were wondering whether.
I didn't like that. He seemed to know Batman, like they fought
So
already, and
there's like whether first of all, it looked like it was Harvey Dent Two Face when you first watch it for the first
Yeah.
time until you hear him doing the maniacal laugh. Then you're like, oh, and
Mhm.
then Matt Reeves came out and said, yes, this is the actor and this is who it's supposed to be. So people are wondering whether did he already come across Batman between year 0 and year 2, and that's why he's in Arkham? Or is he already in Arkham as just being a regular criminal and it's insane, and he hasn't become the Joker until the events of this movie show him, you know what, I gotta go to the next level. So,
Yeah, I heard some people talking that they were using him like the Man Who Laughs, which is a movie from the 40s that was the original um,
inspiration for the Joker.
inspiration for the
I've heard that
Joker
as well. That's a good
character.
one, Chris.
So we'll see about that. All
Those are
right,
my
why don't we
Easter
do
eggs. Yeah.
grades? Thank you for the Easter eggs, James. Brooks, I'll let you go first. What's your grade for
My grade is
the
an A
Batman
minus.
2022?
Um, I was really into this
Ooh,
movie.
solid.
Like I said, I kept saying
Top
it felt like a murder mystery to me with like a Batman edge, kind of. Not, it wasn't, it didn't feel like a full blown superhero movie necessarily, which is not the reason why I liked it so much. But the only reason I give it the minus was because I just thought Batman and Catwoman's chemistry was so bad that it actually distracted me from the movie.
All right, James, what's your grade?
I make it quick. I teetered back and forth. My gut reaction beginning when I saw it was B plus. Since then, I've been able to think about this movie, reflect a little more, and I'm going to go with A minus.
Okay. All right, Captain Ahab. Oh, Mike.
Arr.
Moby Dick, Moby Dick.
Yeah. So I also was going back and forth, but I think I'm gonna go B plus on this one. And what I want to see for the next one, in the next one, I want to see a better Gordon, and I want to see some better chemistry. I want Pattinson to. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. We want to see a better Bruce Wayne for one, or a more experienced Bruce Wayne, and I want that. I don't want to see emo Batman all the time. I want to see some more emotion, not necessarily happy, giddy, whatever, but something else. Like when he's with, I'm totally with Brooks there. When he's gotten there was no chemistry with him and Catwoman. So next time she's on the screen for the next movie, if she's there, I want to see some improvement there. That's why I go with the B plus.
Um, this is a tough one for me. Normally, I would expect like, oh, this character really stuck out to me and it really drove it for me. Whereas this is the opposite. I feel like the story and the design and the direction and the technical stuff really drove this for me as much or
I'm
more,
home.
even more
I'm
than
home,
the
Chris.
characters. I think I want to settle on an A minus though.
Welcome.
Like
The
it,
top
I
fold.
really enjoyed the experience of watching it. I want to watch it again. Um, even though I have the highest view of the Catwoman relationship, but you're right. I don't think there was a lot. It's not like there was fireworks going off or anything like that. But I think it's something the way the story was built answers all my questions about those characters. So I think it's fine. It like answers it for me, and I'm okay with that. So I'm gonna go with A minus. Uh, yeah, I would like to see more of all that stuff in the future. Just like Mike was saying, I'd like to see it. So all right, we won't rate our favorite Batman or Batman movies or any of that today. Maybe we'll think about
We'll
doing that
wait for
soon
the.
when we run out of.
So we've got a pod coming up later this year for the 30th anniversary
Anniversary of
of
Batman
Batman Returns.
Returns.
So when we do that,
Ooh, yeah, let's
we
do
can
it
rate our
then.
Batmans. Yeah,
Give us some time to
Yeah,
talk
that's
about.
definitely my top 5 of all
yeah.
time.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for this long talk about my favorite character and this wonderful movie we had. That's right. 2022 is looking like it's going to be a great year for our big superhero movies.
Doctor
I
Strange
can't
2 is
wait.
next.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mike, where can everybody find us and tell us their
As usual,
opinions
we're
on?
all over the internet at Hero Speak, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell in the corner. can get notifications of our new shows, and leave a comment below.
All right, thanks.
Good night.